Hello and howdy there, folks. A couple days ago, I saw Django Unchained for the second time, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. I definitely liked it more than I did the first time. I'm still not sure about giving it a 9. I mean, I'm definitely giving it an 8. My first review was an 8. I enjoyed it more, but I didn't love it. I wasn't mesmerized, as I usually am in a Tarantino film. So, I mean, I wouldn't have a problem giving it a 9, but I just don't really want to. Maybe just 8.5. I don't know. I have no idea. It's in there. If I gave it a 9, I'll put it this way. If I gave it a 9, it's because I love Quentin Tarantino, and I, want him to succeed. But I just feel that this is an 8. I think this is an 8 for me. Which, since Tarantino makes 9s and 10s, as far as I'm concerned, he's made 3 10s, and like most of his other films are 9s. I still think it's great, but I would have to say it's less than his other work. But it is, beautiful. It is bloody. It's funny. It's smart. It's different. It's daring. It's edgy. Maybe that's the same as daring, pretty much, I would think. The movie is about vengeance, primarily. Finding your lost love. It's basically, a story as old as time. They actually tell the story that it's based on, which is a old German myth, perhaps even older and not German. But basically, Princess is secluded, imprisoned, and is at the top of a mountain, at the end of a very long road of obstacles, and protected by, evil, basically. And that evil must be defeated, the obstacles and evil must be defeated by the hero, the true love of the princess. And that's, again, basically Django Unchained. It does so against the backdrop of slavery and human trafficking in pre-Civil War America. They keep on talking about how he rewrites history. I don't think he's necessarily rewriting history. I just think he's taking a editorial slant at history. It seemed, authentic to me. And maybe, not down to the details, but it felt very real to me. When there was danger, it felt very real. And some of it made me incredibly sick to think about this is, pretty much how it went. Or at least in terms of human behavior and the way that they were treated. Slaves were treated. It's just appalling. And maybe, the dates or the locations, aren't as accurate. I have no idea, but I just read things like that. I don't think it matters because I think the emotion is there, the feeling is there, and the behavior is accurate. So I don't think really the finer points, they take a backseat. They're important, but they're, not as important. Film's gorgeous. There's all sorts of scenery. It appears to have been shot in several locations across the country. I'm not sure. I mean, there's different topography, definitely different weather. The film is gorgeous no matter if it's, in a forest or if it's in a snowy field. It looks beautiful. It's got some gorgeous cinematography, very well shot. Everything has an individual flair. This is a period piece. Again, all the things dealing with that, the hair, the makeup, the wardrobe, all serves to take you to that place. But there is a Tarantino twist, where it's all flamboyant. And, if there were... Yeah, I don't doubt that there were people who dressed that way. But I guess those who could afford to dress that way. Everything just seems to be a little extra flamboyant, which I thoroughly enjoy. I guess really the star of the show here is the writing. Tarantino is a brilliant writer. He's a great director, but he's one of the best screenwriters, of his generation, possibly ever. He just has this way with words. His words just flow, like music. And in the hands of the right actor, I think that, they can become something just more than words, if that makes any sense. And the acting, is tremendous here across the board. The writing, even though I feel that it's his most kind of indulgent in terms of storytelling, there's a lot of what I would call like tangents here. There is a lot of use. I was trying to think of, there's a lot of, I don't know another phrase for it other than time travel. But you go back and forth in time, while you're watching the story. I don't think he's done that as much as Jackie Brown, and it's certainly not to the level of Jackie Brown, but there is some that I didn't necessarily notice the first go-around, how we see kind of the end result, and then we get the setup, and then we go back to, that end result. I noticed that a couple times, but only, a few times. So it seems to be like stylistically condensed into one act of the film. It seems like I had more of a point there. But again, just his dialogue, there's nothing like it. I wish there are some fantastic lines here. Sadly, well, maybe not sadly, I don't know. But some of them, most of them involve the N-word, which is used to great effect here. You hear it a lot. I think it's said something without exaggeration, upwards of 160 to 180 times over the course of 2 hours and 45 minutes. But there are some, fantastic one-liners, and just some great dialogue. I don't think that there's... I still feel like I'm missing some Tarantino trademarks, namely a monologue. There are some monologues here, but there's just not a fantastically great one. And I talk about what's missing that I think I feel is in every other Tarantino film, and that's a great monologue. And there's always a point in a Tarantino film where the audience knows so much, from being able to witness everything. They know so much, and the characters know so very little, whether it's through bad luck or sheer ignorance. They know so little. And that's the essence of suspense. knowing something that someone else doesn't, it can drive you mad. And that is suspense. Here, I didn't get that so much, but it seemed like this dinner scene. And if you've seen the film, that's all I really need to say. The dinner scene with DiCaprio and everyone, Fox and Waltz. There, it's like, that's where the tension is. That's wound up tight. And it gets, really intense right there. And that's also at the same time of DiCaprio's great monologue about phrenology. And it just seemed that it all kind of came up at once, and though it was a beautiful scene, I kind of wish that it was, that whole process of us knowing and them not knowing, it's not us. It's not us, the audience, that knows something that the characters don't. It's half the characters know something that half the characters don't. So that tension for the audience is greatly reduced to just seeing, okay, who's going to come out on top here? It's not the audience versus the characters as, not versus, but, whatever. Like I feel it is in other Tarantino films, particularly Jackie Brown. I really liked the film. I thought all the acting was great. Jamie Foxx, Christoph Waltz, Don Johnson, Bruce Dern, Kerry Washington, Richard Parks. God, he's been in the last few Tarantino films. It's Parks, something Parks. I think he's tremendous. He had dual roles in Kill Bill, and he was in Inglourious, I believe. Anyway, he's in this, and he was fantastic. Just briefly, Tarantino has a cameo, which is fine. Again, I think it goes with my overall indulgent review of the film. It is very violent, sometimes unsettlingly so. There are a couple of deaths that kind of got to me. It's still so smart, and it's still just gorgeous. You can just feel this passion for film that Tarantino has always had, and that pervades in all of his work. I noticed a lot, and maybe it's just my discipleship of Stanley Kubrick, but I felt I noticed a lot more Kubrick in this film, like maybe he had watched some Kubrick in preparation, but my knowledge of spaghetti westerns and exploitation films and just the Django films in general are pretty much non-existent, so perhaps those are pretty standard stylistic shots for that genres of film, but I noticed a lot of homage to Kubrick here. Whether it be in the lighting, mostly in zooms. Kubrick had a way of showing an establishing shot and then zooming in on what you need to focus on, or what the story is focusing on. And I mean not like a slow zoom in. I'm talking like you have a wide establishing shot, and then within a half a second, you've zoomed in onto, what you need to be paying attention to. Normally, it's the facial expression of somebody. I noticed that a lot here. I also thought that there was a direct reference to A Clockwork Orange, and therefore Stanley Kubrick. While Christoph Waltz is in agony, replaying, he's just been, I can't spoil it, but he's in agony. He's reviewing his failings and the horrors that he's just witnessed, and all the while, someone is playing Beethoven, the old Ludwig van, and he's, again, hearing the most beautiful music and associating it with the most terrible things possible. And he loses it, and he cannot listen to Beethoven any longer. I think that's rather direct. I don't really know what else to say. I enjoyed it. I definitely think it's a highlight of the year. I'm surprised that it got a Best Picture nomination. I just kind of feel that if Tarantino does something, it's going to get a nomination, which I don't mind at all. But it did come as a surprise. I think some other films probably could have gotten some recognition, but this is very good. Again, it's very daring. There's not, Tarantino does things that other artists don't. So I think that that's important. I don't really know what else to say. I've gone over my personal 15-minute mark. It's actually now 16 minutes. I thought it was gorgeous, beautifully written, well directed, gorgeously shot, wonderfully acted. Christoph Waltz is kind of hypnotic in the film. He just has a way with Tarantino's words. It just is a great match, and he delivers a fantastic performance. And really, I think he carries the film. I know the film is called Django Unchained, but I really loved the dentist, the doctor. He stole the show for me, basically. And just watching, his face and his eyes just go to town just is, again, hypnotic. I think he does a fantastic job. So, yeah, okay. I think I've said enough. I'm definitely glad I saw it a second time. I'll look forward to renting it when it comes out. I don't necessarily feel like I'll have to own this movie like I, have to own several other of Tarantino's works. But again, definitely, something to talk about, something to see, and I, of course, highly recommend it. So that's Django Unchained, and I give it a solid 8. Thank you very much.